Hello, welcome to Geeking Out with Shad. I actually got a new drone and I've been wanting one of these for a while. I didn't like the first version of the DJI FPV drone, but this one, the Avata, is a much more improved drone. What I like about this one is the prop guards and the durability of this one. So I can fly around, and if I bump into stuff, mainly people, because I like to film people riding bikes and I don't want to injure them with the blades of a prop. I actually got cut once with the blades of a prop on a drone, and it cut me. Like, they're nasty. So I just, people need to realize if drones are flying around with open props and they don't have these prop guards around them, the flyer, the person flying, the pilot, I guess, needs to be really careful, and people around the drone need to be aware of the drone and stay away from it. Anyway, that being said, let's fly this Avata around. I don't think I can get the view that I see. I haven't figured out how to do that. I wish I could, because basically I have this controller here, and this is called the motion controller. And basically, to fly the drone, speed is done by the trigger. Reminds me of the old slot cars from when I was younger, AFX or whatever they were. And then the nice thing is this is supposed to be a brake, this button, but I found that if I release the trigger, the drone just stops. So what makes this cool is this drone is kind of a combination of like a traditional GPS controlled drone, where it'll take off and hover and stabilize itself and things like that. So it has that kind of control. It is GPS enabled and things like that, with you being able to fly it like an FPV drone and goggles. So it's like the best of both worlds. And with this motion controller, basically you go the speed you want by using this trigger. It's very I say modulation with bicycle brakes all the time, so I'm going to say modulation here too. And then you have little micro controls for the camera tilt. This starts and stops the camera, things like that. But what's cool is, as I start to fly, if I want to turn left, I don't go like this. A lot of people think you do this. You go like this. If I want to turn right, if I want to turn left, if I want to go down, and if I want to go up, the drone will just follow my lead, and it makes it really easy to fly. It limits you from what a traditional two-stick FPV drone can do, because you can't really, like, a lot of times you'll fly towards something, or just imagine my truck is something. What you can't do with this drone is you can't like fly sideways and keep aiming at your subject, right? Like I'm doing here, walking with my phone, right? You can only fly forward. So if you want to follow my truck, you're going to go towards it or whatever. So you got to kind of follow. It's kind of an interesting thing. So you can get the DJI two-stick controller for this drone. I don't have it yet. I'm going to get it. And then you'll have more free flight to do more of the professional style flying. But for simple flying and for beginners, this motion controller is super slick. I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and send this thing up and show you what the flight looks like. I wish I could show you what I see in the screen. I'll figure out how to do that someday. But basically there's a little circle in the middle. And when I move this around, right, so if I go up, the circle goes up and the drone follows, and the circle goes down and the drone follows, and the circle goes this way. So it makes it really easy to aim. So if I wanted to aim, let's just say I wanted to go underneath my truck, which I could actually do with this drone. I might not do it in this case because it's close to the ground and you get that ground effect. But you could like aim through something that's small, because you just keep that circle pointed towards the open area and the drone is just going to follow where the circle is. So if you have a circle aimed at an object, you're going to run into the object. If I have it aimed above or to the right or whatever, as long as I'm not super close to it, because obviously the size of the drone matters, right? I'll go through. So I'll fly around. Maybe I'll go through my little outhouse there and fly around my truck and fly around my little pump house there and my trailer and stuff, and maybe even do a little loop through the woods just to show you how precise and easy this thing is to fly. So yeah, that is the DJI Avata drone, and I have very little experience with it. I've probably flown it twice, trying to do videos, and I didn't realize my Geeking Out with Shad channel was gonna get unlocked or unblocked by YouTube, and it did. So now I get to do a video on this. So I actually did fly it for my other channel, Shad Life, but I feel like I did a much better job this time, and I have more trust in it. When I was flying it before, I kept like messing with the throttle because I would get a little afraid or whatever. But like when I flew over the creek, I kept the throttle pretty much consistent at the same speed, and I was able to steer, and every time I would see a branch, I could avoid the branch. What I see in the goggles, and that's why I wish I could show you that, but I'll figure out how to record through the goggles so you see what I can see. I know there's a card that can go into the goggles, but the last time I tried to record, it recorded what the drone saw, or it recorded through the goggles and didn't put any of the indicators on there for me. So I'll have to find out how to do that. If any of you know, let me know in the comments. But when I was flying by the creek, I could see the little branches, like it's super clear, and there is a lot of blockage. So if you think about the clarity, because I've flown other drones, even my Skydio 2, and when it gets down low over there by the creek, I start losing signal, and it's pretty amazing how much interference I was getting. But with the DJI Avata drone, I was able to fly, you know, through there. I went up and over these trees, and there's a creek back there, and I flew way over to that corner and followed the creek, like all through all of that stuff in the way. And it's, you know, this is 2.5 acres, so it's back there, you know, probably say 100 plus yards. So that's a pretty good signal, and I didn't get any glitchiness, flickering, or anything like that. Let's take a closer look at the drone itself. So this is the drone. It's got the camera in the front. It's got sensors on the bottom, which is nice. If you saw, I was close to the grass when I was flying by the creek. I was close to the road to zoom along the road, and these sensors prevent it from hitting the ground. Like, it won't go any lower, so you can kind of surf right along the ground really close to it and get that cool effect. The battery sits right in there. I've actually seen people mount a GoPro to this. I'm not sure why. I mean, yes, GoPros have really good quality, but the quality that I'm getting out of this is pretty good. So, I mean, you could mount a GoPro to it. I've seen that happen. There's companies that sell brackets that put the GoPro on there. Just seems like adding that high weight to it just would be interesting. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty impressive. I don't know, I mean, yes, I geek out on things, but I don't. There's a certain signal this newer drone uses that allows it to fly through deep vegetation like that without interference, and I forget what it's called. I'll put it on the screen right here because I can look it up. But yeah, very impressive. And then we've got the controller. Super simple, and really all I'm doing is, you know, and it's very natural. It's like as you're flying, it just feels natural and makes it really easy to fly. This is such a great idea. And yes, like I said, it doesn't give you the full freestyle type control over the drone that a lot of drone pilots want, like I showed earlier about wanting to fly around your target and point at it and stuff. I actually show you that with the drone in my hand. So with the motion controller, I really am always going forward, and then I can turn like this. And I can stop in place and rotate, right? I can do that. And as long as I'm not pulling the trigger, I can look down, I can look up, I can sit in one place and do that. So that works pretty good. But what I can't do is this thing that a lot of professional pilots do. And again, we'll use my truck as an example, is I can't go like this. And then what you usually can do is fly sideways like that. And that's what the drone will do. It'll literally tilt to the side. And you're flying sideways, but then you keep aiming at your subject like this. Can't do that with the motion controller. And then you could go back, right? The only thing you can do with a motion controller is sit in one place and follow a subject, or go towards it and steer, but you're always going at whatever direction you're steering, so you'd actually run into what you're trying to film if you were trying to do like sideways or whatever. So that does limit you with some of that cool professional stuff where if people are driving, you'll see them fly around and keep pointing at the subject as they're driving along and things, and that's a really cool effect. So that's why I'm gonna get the 2-stick controller, the regular type controller for this drone at some point, and then I can fly more of a normal style flight that more professional drone pilots would do. And I believe with the 2-stick controller, what would be nice is that this drone still will hover, it'll still do all the same things, but I'll just have a little more control over it. The goggle thing is confusing. So this is the DJI goggles V2. These are like the older original DJI goggles, but upgraded with better hardware and stuff like that, and they work really good. I actually prefer these over the other ones. They do have DJI goggles 2, which are the smaller, more trimmed down one, and they're more expensive. And I think they have some advantages, but so far I haven't seen a weakness in these, and I actually like that they're a little bigger and more comfortable on my face and stuff. I've heard some reviewers talk about the goggles 2 being less comfortable, and if you do wear glasses, I wear contacts actually, but if you wear glasses, you'll be able to fit them in here as long as they're not too big, and so on and so forth. They have these adjustments for the lenses, so on and so forth. The goggles 2, not the goggles V2, so this is V2, so version 2 of this type of goggles. And then there's a goggles 2. They actually do have it so you can, if you wear glasses, you can adjust the lenses, the optics of them, so you can see, which is kind of a cool idea. So, you know, like whatever your vision is, you can adjust the right and left one to correct your vision, and then once it's adjusted, you're good to go. So there you have it. That is the DJI Avata drone. Expensive. I think I paid around $1,200 or so for this one. I really do appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.